What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe with No Days Off DFS here to bring you another WNBA slate breakdown for the three-game slate we got today. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love this slate. This slate, it looks juicy, beautiful. We got guards to pay up for, we got forwards to pay up for, and we got some good value on the slate for today. Today, I am joined by none other than my brother from another mother, and I've been waiting to get him on this show. I promise you, I've been waiting. My boy BK is finally here with me. Tell him what's up, bro.
Yo, what's up? I'm ready to get it, brother, bro. Long
I,
time coming.
it really truly has been, man. I've been waiting to get you on here. I know the people have been waiting for us to actually do a breakdown together. If you don't know, we are part of the No Days Off group. And if you guys are wanting all of our content, our information, we're not only doing a WNBA, we do MLB, esports, golf, MMA, all that stuff. The link for that is in our Patreon down below in the description. It's $10. And I'm telling you, you make that back easy day with the DFS and prop content that we're putting out for all of these prop sites. It's really a bang for your buck. Promise you that. Without further ado, though, we're going to go ahead. We're going to break down the slate as we always like to do, going over looking at the injury news for this day. I don't know what it is with some of these players being out. I don't know what sickness they got going on, but the sickness is really been traveling and it's been going. We're seeing the same players being out for the Lynx and for the Sparks. They might have got it when they played some of those games last week, being together. But yeah, that right there is very interesting. Going over with the Dream and the Wings. As always, we already know Ari McDonald and Rupert, they're going to be out for quite some time. Biggest news that we have to pay attention to, that we have to figure out before the game starts, everything locks, is on the Dallas Wings side. Kalani Brown is slated right now to be the starter. But if you don't know, McCowan, she got eliminated. Her team got eliminated overseas. She is back in the States. She is a game time decision because there is a chance that she might play today. If McCowan plays, unless something crazy happens and goes on, Kalani Brown's not going to play. Kalani Brown was signed to a hardship deal for McCowan for the fact that she was leaving and for when McCowan got injured. So, according to the rules, Kalani has to go once McCowan is active and good to go. So that we have to pay attention. We got to get that news because that's just gonna be one kind of quote unquote value that we're not gonna have from the Dallas Wings for today. Then everyone else, DeShields, Lopez, they're both still out. The Minnesota Lynx taking on the Sparks. This is the third time we're going to see them in the past 2 weeks, which is crazy. WNBA schedulers, you're trash. You're doing a horrible job with the season. I'm just going to be very blunt and honest with that. For the Minnesota Lynx, we still got Achanwa. She's out. Diamond Miller, she's going to be ruled out. She has not been reevaluated yet, and she's not even with the team. So if they're on the road and traveling for the rest of this week, I'm not going to worry too much about Diamond Miller because I'm expecting her to still be out. Like I said, that was a 90-degree turn on that ankle. She's going to be missing some time. AP, she is still out. And then Jessica Shepard, the same sickness that Lexi Brown got, she is out as well still. And then, of course, going over to the Sparks, Lexi Brown, she's out once again. Clarendon, she's out. And then Clouden, she's out as well. Last game of the slate, surprisingly, we don't have no injury news unless someone pops up in the middle of the day. And if they do pop up, I will tell you right now, I would expect them not to play. If someone in that game magically gets put as a game time decision, I will go with they are not going to play. Typically, the rule of thumb when it comes down to the DFS world. Going over to the site that we like to play on that has honestly been winning us some money, some coin. Queen of the court seats is DraftKings. If you guys don't have an account, check the link down in the description below so you can get that deposit match bonus and come win some money over here with the money team. You guys have been enjoying the game by game breakdown, so that's what we're going to stick to. Since I do have a guest, I'm going to let him be able to talk, give us some nuggets and stuff like that. I'm going to stick with the same script, just covering team by team as we go through, and then I'm going to let BK go ahead and give you guys some nuggets if he has anything that he wants to share with you guys. All right. So starting with the Atlanta Dream and Dallas Wings, man, I'm telling you right now, I love this game. One, it's a rematch of the first game that we saw to start the season. We know that players got injured, some players were out, things like that. But our first value play of the day is in this game. And when I say value play of the day, it's just for the fact that DraftKings, for some reason, when they released the slate, they were drunk. I don't know what somebody was thinking. I don't know why they would even consider the fact that Danielle Robinson is back. In that first game back, she went out there and played 15 minutes. 15 minutes in your first game back, and you went out there and you were able to still give us 11.5 fantasy at 3K, still at the same price. Now, the player that, of course, is going to affect was Haley Jones. Haley Jones, she did see her minutes come down to 25, 26 minutes. Danielle Robinson, of course, she's going to come in and she's going to eat that. I expect the same thing to happen with Durr. Durr's going to lose some of those minutes with Danielle coming back. The more that she gets healthy and good to go, she is the vet. She's the leader. They kind of do need that with this lineup. A player who can definitely facilitate and is a little bit of a much better scorer than Durr. And of course, when you still got a rookie trying to figure out her legs and stuff like that, at 3K, hands down, great value. You cannot go wrong with a player that's going to at least get 15 20 minutes. You literally cannot. The name of the game in WNBA is value and minutes or equal production. That right there, Daniel Robinson. I love this right here at 3K. Outside of Daniel Robinson, other players I'll be looking at over here on the dream. Of course, Rainey in play. We seen it first game of the season. She was able to go out there and she was cooking Satu. She was cooking Howard. She was cooking Enrique. She cooked everybody that they tried to put on her. Went out there, dropped 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, dropped 41 fantasy points. Do I expect her to repeat that, do that again? Possibly, because I'm going to tell you and be honest, Dallas Wings, our defense has been trash. If you don't know, look at the last 100-point game that my team just gave up to the Storm, and we were winning that game. That was the thing that pissed me off. We were winning for a good portion of that game. Gave it up in the end of the third, fourth quarter. It was just lights out. Jewel Lloyd, she caught fire. Randy can go out here and do the same thing. Same thing for Alicia Gray. In that first game, she struggled. She did not look great, but she still was able to drop 27.25 fantasy points, 10 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. I really do expect for the fact that she's averaging double-digit scoring. Her usage has been up to start the season, and she's having her most efficient year since being in the W. She's damn near probably going to go out here and drop 20-ish points. I'll give her 15 to 20-ish points. And then what she can do on the defensive side with her steal, her block up side, and then the playmaking and the rebounding. I like Alicia Gray at 9-1. If you can't get up to Rainey, I'll say Gray is going to be my cash play. Rainey will go ahead and be that GPP if you're looking at it like that. And then, of course, you just got that value down here with Danielle Robinson. Easy right there. I'm really going to focus on the guards when it comes down here for the dream. Over here on the Dallas Wing side, we already know where the production, everything is going to come from then. Three-headed monster, Enrique, Satu, Howard. That's typically how it's going to go. Now, if McCown is back, yeah, that's going to throw a little monkey wrench into it because she's going to be a more of an offensive threat than what Kalani Brown was giving us. True, very true. But the risk, of course, that always comes with McCowan, that foul trouble that she can go ahead and get herself into. She's fresh from overseas. Don't know how many minutes she's going to play. But again, if she's going to be there, I'm not going to worry about Kalani Brown unless they magically pull some strings, wave somebody else, and get her signed back. Outside of her, Howard, that first game, she popped off, did great. Yes, she got slid into that 5 position, but still 48 points, dropped 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and did it on the defensive side. We do know power forwards have had their way going up against the Dream. She's going to get that Nia Coffee defense if it's not going to be on Satu. Both Howard and Satu, great plays, great spots. I like both of them. Enrique is going to be my third fiddle if I'm looking at anything from this team right here, especially with that news of McCowan. Everyone else, Crystal Dangerfield, if you want to take a flyer on that, not really my cup of tea. She looked all right in that last game, played 33 minutes, really ate into Burton, which I'm not going to be looking at Burton due to the fact that they love Dangerfield. I don't know why. She's an undersized guard. Very undersized, but they love her. I do not understand this. Talk so highly of her. Yes, she can go create her shot. She can do this and that, but just when you're playing against guards who are legit, Alicia Gray, Haley Jones, and Rainey are all going to tower over her and should be able to get whatever they want, no matter who you put Dangerfield on. I don't care how good of a defense you can try to go out there and play. You're going to get cooked. Honestly, she's going to get cooked. But that's really going to be it for me right there. I'm really high on Satu, really high on Howard as both of my plays. We just got to pay attention to that Kalani Brown news right there. What you got for this one?
So some of the nuggets that I did have, one, Ron Howard is averaging 38.25 fantasy points versus Dallas so far for her career. That's in 4 games, so it's a small sample size. But again, that's why I'm on her fantasy score today.
Oh yeah,
On Prize Picks, love it. I mean, like I said, 38.25. You got a lot of wiggle room for 29. She started at 29 even on Prize Picks, so you got a lot of wiggle room
really?
right there. Yeah, it was at 29 for her fantasy score. Like you said, Cheyenne Parker, still really like her, even if McCown plays. Um, she started out decent and well versus her to begin with. So, I like that. One of the plays that I did want to talk about that you didn't touch on is Monique Billings. She didn't play that first game. I like her, you know what I'm saying, because when you think about it, Nia Coffey is undersized. She did get worked out by Howard in that first game. So if they needed anyone to come off the bench, the only one they had last game was Nas Hillman. I think the motor in Billings is way more. It just runs way more. You know how Billings is. She gets in
Yeah.
the game and she runs from the time she hit the floor to the time she goes back to the bench. So I do like her. It's a sneaky long play today. What's her price there on DraftKings?
She's at 4.6.
4.6. It's not terrible. I would have liked it to be a lot lower, but like he said, those 3K plays, you kind of can't go wrong with those. So I would definitely look at Billings as more of a tournament play, GPP play, because one thing I did want to touch on is Danielle Robinson played 7 minutes in that game, but she also had 6 fantasy points before she went out. So if she
Exactly.
is getting 13, 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, you like the fantasy production and minutes wise there. Satu was matched up with Ryan Howard on when she was on offense. Ryan Howard was guarding her, so I love that matchup for her, which is why she ate a lot. You got to think about it. That's too easy for her to take Ryan Howard to the block on that matchup there. You know what I'm saying? So she ate a lot there. So I really do like that matchup for her, like you said. Of course, you talked about Howard saying Nia Coffee. The one thing I did want to point out is that when both the Howards were guarding, well, Natasha was guarding Ryan on defense
Hmm.
when Atlanta had the ball. So that's why Ryan was just having her way doing whatever she wanted. So, like you said, love going back there, especially if they're going to do the same thing that they basically did that last game, which is going to be the almost the same starting five. Even if Kalani Brown does play and McCowan doesn't play, it's still basically the same thing. You know what I'm
Literally,
saying?
yeah.
So you can definitely go back on to any of those plays. But yeah, you pretty much hit it, bro.
I say, yeah. Just looking at it though, of course, I know the always the question whenever it comes down to Satu and Howard. Howard is gonna quote unquote be your GPP just because she can get in foul trouble, and
Mm-hmm.
she's hit or miss in regards to what she's going out there and doing. Satu has been very consistent and has the safe floor. So don't get it confused. I know I said I like both of them, but Satu, she's been honestly, hands down, playing amazing ball this season. It's been crazy. I love watching it. She is one of my favorite players out there, and she's just proven it night in night out. Going over to the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Sparks. Again, we've seen this game literally three times in the past. I'm just gonna honestly say a week because of course all the off days and stuff. We've seen this game three times in a week, so we kind of know more or less what to expect. This game is gonna be played out in LA. For some reason, my thing just it started to buffer. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. All right. They played out in LA last time, so it's another game gonna be played out there in LA. When it comes down to it for the Minnesota Lynx, with Shepard being out, of course, this team is Fee's team. We've said this consistently, and we're seeing it for the fact that they got her priced up at 11.6. She finally, I don't know what they were drinking to start the season, where they had her price, where she was like 8, 7, 6K. It was just stupid pricing. It took her popping on for 50 plus for them to finally put some respect on her name, which she should have been had. Again, when it comes down to looking at them, I'm going to be looking at Fee. I expect this game to be close, like all the other games have been with them. They're two. The Lynx are, don't get it twisted, they are much lower than the Sparks. The Sparks are head and shoulders going to be above them because of the talent that they have on that team. The Lynx are definitely still in that rebuild mode, and it's really one amazing great player and a bunch of role players is what they have. They got players that are still trying to figure out their lives. Unfortunately, their draft pick, which I hate this so much for Diamond Miller, because if she was actually playing right now, I expect her, she probably would have been up to 30 minutes by now. And this just puts her behind the curveball of what she should have been able to do. I was really seeing some great things before she turned the ankle, and it kills me. But looking at it, the production that Fee gave us in those two games that she played against the Sparks, 50.25 and 40 fantasy points. We know she's going to get there. She's going to go out there and get buckets. She's been able to, honestly, for some reason, I don't know why they haven't changed up the defensive scheme on this. Hamby has been matched up on Fee, and Hamby straight up was getting worked every single time. Hamby got worked both of those games. Now, will they change that up? I'm not too sure. Either way, Fee, definitely a play you can go right back to. And I just go ahead and lock in. I really don't care too much about that. Coming down, with Shepard being out, you can always go to McBride. Definitely, she's going to be next fiddle in regards to what they're going to go out here and do. Yeah, she had both of her games at least scored over 25 fantasy points. That's good. That's fine. At 8-2, don't hate that. Again, I'd rather pay up for some of the other guards that's on the slate. Tiffany Mitchell, I really have not been too impressed with what she's been going out here doing over the past couple of games. She popped off in that first game at home, but looking at it, honestly, on the road, it ain't been too much to write home about in regards to her. And they still got her trying to play this point guard role that she's not really necessarily point guarding when she's out there. So not too high on Team Mitch, especially at 6'7", better value on the slate. Dorka, you can't go wrong with that. She's going to go out there. She's going to play her minutes. Of course, with no Shepherd, she's going to get at least 22, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. It's the in between right there, depending on how she's going out there and she's playing, if she's able to make an impact out there. One game she had 12.5 fantasy points. The next game she had 24. So it's a coin flip in regards to what we're going to get right there. I don't feel like you have to pay down to Dorka. If you're going to pay down, there's another play we're going to cover. I'd rather pay for that. Banham, we've seen her getting her minutes increased here and there over these past couple games with Shepard being out. She played 26 minutes in the game in LA, dropped 21 fantasy points, 21 minutes in that last game versus the Aces, dropped 10.5. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really looking at Banham. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to look at the two players that, three players that their minutes have kind of been steadily going up. And this was even before Shepard went down. Milik, first one. Her minutes were already climbing before Shepard went out and has been sick. And looking at her, she's kind of been producing at almost a fantasy point per minute or just a little bit under it. Still, blowout, something like that happens, player gets in foul trouble, Milik is going to be able to get that burn and run. She's technically one of the only other bigs that they got to be able to slide in and start or slide in here. I know that they got Emily. I never was really impressed with her even when she played for the Fever. 10 minutes, she dropped 6 fantasy points. I'm not really going to touch that because her minutes to me seem the least secure. She's on a hardship deal. Really not too much that I know that they're going to be expecting out of her. Carrington, I know she's going to more than likely get the start once again. We've seen it for the last 2 games that Shepard's been out. Of course, you can go to her. That last game, she produced very well. 18 minutes, dropped 17.5 fantasy points. If she can ever figure out her shot, this is one of those where you might want to go ahead, buy low and expect high because her shot has just not been falling. She's doing other things in regards to her rebounding. She's getting a little bit in the assists and things like that, but the shot just has not been falling for her. So we can go ahead and actually get a pretty good shooting night out of her, and you give me all the rebounds and assists that she's doing. Yeah, I could definitely see this being a great spot for her. And then, of course, they got a price at 3K. Hell yeah, I can go ahead and take that. 3K for a starter that's probably going to play at least 20 minutes. Sign me up. I'll take it right there. Going over to the Sparks, we already know. Really for them, NECA, I'm not even going to be dead horse. NECA's NECA. We know what she can go out here and do. She's had great games going against the Lynx and great history, even with Sylvia Fowles being there. Same thing for Canada. Canada, without Clarendon being there, with Lexi Brown being out, she has stepped up in a major way over the past couple of games. I like what she's been doing. Both games going up against the Lynx. Just look at those game logs. That's all I'm going to say. 9K. That's all I'm going to say. Coming out here, Hamby. Another one. I'm on the fence with Hamby just because that last game, she played 30 minutes, only gave us 28.75 fantasy points. I feel like she's kind of just middling right here in regards to where she's at 8-4. I would rather come down and pay for Stevens because I really feel like Stevens is going to get that blow up game. We're finally seeing it. She's starting to string together. The 3-point shots are hitting there. She's at least getting 7 to 10 field goal attempts a game. We're seeing those shots going up. We know she can rebound. She can definitely play on the defensive side. And at 5'7", it's not a bad price. I know that the strangest thing for her is the fact she only played 10 minutes and 18 minutes in those 2 games, but she started. Yes, Cheney is back. Cheney could eat into her minutes, but I'm going to tell you right now, same thing I told C last night. If they start that flat foot running down the court, jacking up shots behind the backboard, can't shoot to save her life, I'm going to lose my mind because Stevens is the better player. It was a very big pickup for them in the offseason. You need to go ahead and run her the minutes, let her go out there and get the production that she can go out there and give you. If Stevens are starting, I'm definitely on that. I love this spot for her. And then just everyone else down here, Henderson, she's interesting at 3K, deep GPP if you're thinking about it. 6 minutes finally after being signed to a harsh deal. Deep flyer. I'm going to tell you that. Deep flyer. Because they still got Jasmine Thomas. I know they're not going to give up on Zaya. Zaya just has not been figuring it out, even though she's starting. I'm kind of down on her right now. There's other spots that we can go to in regards to that. What you got for this one?
All right, so McBride for me, I love her today. More of a GPP play because we know McBride, shooting dependent sometimes. But what's crazy to me is right now she's averaging like 28 fantasy points per game versus the Sparks in her last 5 games total. That's for this year and last year. But what's crazy to me is when I look at it. So she had last year versus the Sparks, she had 37, 27, and 25 fantasy points. What do you see there already? She's already had 25 and 27 fantasy points versus them. That 30's got to be coming. And what better day for it to come after you just laid a fat ass egg in 23 minutes with 9 fantasy points versus the Aces. If you read the breakdown that day, I told y'all she never plays well versus the Aces. So her under was fucking free. You should have just taken
True.
it and moved the fuck on.
True.
So Today, I'm going back to her. I'll probably have her in my tournament lineup. Definitely like her a ton today, especially because nobody's going to touch her. After seeing 8 fantasy points, don't matter what the rest of the game logs were, that last game is going to scare a lot of people off of her. And we know she can get rolling from three. There's no Lexi Brown today. No Lexi Brown defense today. And she was already getting it done versus her. So you got to really like that today. Another thing, you already touched on Collier. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that. Um, Canada averaging 39.5 fantasy points versus them. Like you said, look at the game logs. Assists, PA, love it. Love Canada today. Can't get enough of her. And then Stevens, like you said on Stevens. Stevens was a sneaky cheap play for me today, especially being at 5'7". It's the forward. Like you said, her minutes are starting to creep up. I love that for her. We know that she's one of those players that can be a fantasy point per minute player. So it just takes them to give her the minutes. So I really like her as well, again, for tournaments. Hamby, I like her for GPPs. And for me, like you said, I prefer Milic over U-Haus today. So love that and love the value on Carlton as well.
I say, yeah, the value on the slate, DraftKings was honestly just drunk whenever they went ahead and put out the pricing for this stuff. It's ridiculous what they gave us. All
Right.
right. Last game, we got the Sun taking on the Storm. Now, of course, everyone's going to probably think blowout straight out the gate, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Sun on the road have been a little bit underwhelming. They have not been truly blowing everybody out whenever you look at it, so I'm not too worried about that. And then the offensive identity that the Storm have kind of figured out, going ahead and starting Ivana into the starting lineup with them, and that last game putting Russell in, that was a very good move, which I would expect Russell to start again here in this game. I'm not going to worry too much about blowouts, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you concern yourself with blowouts whenever it comes to DFS, you're doing it wrong. You cannot always predict a blowout, especially in the WNBA. Do not try to predict a blowout in the WNBA unless it's the Aces. That is the only team that you can predict a blowout for. Everyone else,
Right.
no, you will not be able to predict it correctly. But looking over here, looking at the Suns, we already know it's going to start with AT. AT is at the top of the spear always. Her hands are involved in every single thing that the Sun do when it comes from rebounding, playmaking, and scoring. She is literally a triple double beast upside every single night she steps on the court, and at most nights going to at least be a double upside monster when she's out here. As you see it, looking at her game logs, she's had what, one actual down game, one. That is a safe floor. That is cash safe all day, every day. Of course, if you're not going to pay it for AT, like I always say, you're going to come down here to Brianna Jones. Brianna Jones, we do know she's hit or miss because she can get into foul trouble. But of course, when you're getting a player of Brianna Jones caliber, if now I know you got a nugget, I'm not going to spoil it. If other players struggle to score, Brianna Jones has normally been pretty more consistent when it comes down to the scoring because she'll get their offensive rebounds, she'll get the putback, she'll do the little things that she needs to do out there. She can get a steal or two here and there, and she can play make a little bit. She can definitely do all those things. So Brianna Jones, definitely you can come down to her if you're not going to pay her for AT. And then coming off of that last game, she didn't have the big blow up. She still dropped in 33 minutes, 31.5 fantasy points. And that was after struggling in the first half and getting into a little bit of foul trouble and playing low minutes in that first half. Still was able to produce
Right.
going out there. DeWanna Bonner, I'm not gonna say it's the DeWanna Bonner game. I used my one DeWanna Bonner game earlier in the season. I gotta get back on it whenever I see it. But I'm just gonna say I'm not on it right now. I know other people are for sure, but her, Hayes, Heidemann, right now they're not playing their normal minutes, which has kind of been a little weird. They're playing 20 to 25-ish minutes. Of course, I know Hayes. Sorry about that, guys, but unfortunately, the video between me and Dion, it cut off, did not get the whole thing, so I'm going to go over real quick what we were going to discuss and talk about right here. It'll still be the same thing, and I'll give you the notes that Dion also had himself to go over with you guys. In the future, we will have that fixed and iron out. I do apologize for that. Bear with us as we do work some things out on that end. As I was saying about Heidemann, both Tiffany Hayes and Heidemann, their minutes have been going down, trending in downward direction. They're seeing 20-ish minutes a game. 20 to 25 minutes a game, and that's really been a boost for Carrington herself. Carrington, she's been seeing more minutes. Sitting at 4.9, definitely someone I could look at for value if you want to come up off of like someone like Daniel Robinson, Clariton, things like that. I could definitely see you going here to Carrington as another play over both of them. As you can see, she's at least getting 20 plus minutes in the past 3 games. I expect that to continue right here. If we're thinking that Tiffany Hayes could possibly get into foul trouble, chasing around a Jewel Lloyd or something like that, definitely a player I wouldn't mind going to, right? Because we do know she's going to get that burner run. She's the first guard off the bench anytime that Tiffany Hayes goes ahead and gets herself into foul trouble as well. Other than that, Rebecca Allen, all these other players down here, I'm not really looking too much at on that side. Over here on the Storm side, going through them, Jewel Lloyd, you cannot go wrong with Jewel Lloyd. They say it's a tough matchup for her. I know I've always hammered that guards, 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 but when you have a guard who is literally leading the league in scoring, she is the league leader in scoring right now. She's scoring out of her behind, constantly going off. Just dropped a career high 39 points in that last game going against the Dallas Wings. If they want to stay in this game, it's going to be due to her. They are playing at home. Their offense has looked much better. That's why I do expect this to be a closer game because along with Lloyd, you know, you got Ivana. She's stepping up in a major way to help them out as well. Of course, to me, I don't feel like you have to pay 10-7 today for someone like Lloyd or something like that. Definitely see you can get different and play Lloyd because she more than likely will be lower owned when you have some of the other guards on the slate like Canada or Howard and Alicia Gray, things like that of that nature. So you really necessarily don't have to pay up for Lloyd. But definitely, I can see a spot where you do go and pay for her. Easy on the other hand as well. Really don't have too much game in between her and the Suns. Of course, remember she was coming off the bench. She really never has started too much. She does have a couple games where she has started versus them. One game she actually did really well, and I'm on easy today because I think she's going to be lower owned. Even in that last game where she only played 26 minutes, she struggled against the Wings. Foul trouble was definitely part of it. She still got going and was a major reason why they were able to win that game. She found her shot. She went 4-4 from the field. We know that she doesn't have delay in the paint. So a team that can pretty much defend the paint pretty well in the sun with Brianna Jones and Alyssa Thomas, I can still see Easy going out there and knocking out some of her shots. She will do something on the defensive side, get the blocks, the steals, and things like that. Players like Alyssa Thomas who have to get to the rim in order to score, who do not have any type of jump shot to save their life. Hook shots and stuff like that is how she gets to her points. Definitely some easy blocks for Easy to get there. I would expect Mercedes Russell to start again here in the spot, especially because you have Brianna Jones and AT, a nice, good front court, just like what the Dallas Wings had. This is definitely a spot where Mercedes Russell, she should start once again. Played 34 minutes last game. Highest minutes she's played so far to start the season. I can see you going back here as a low-owned GPP type play. Not too high on my radar. When it comes down to it, Nurse, this is a spot where she possibly could excel. They're going to need her scoring. She played 32 minutes last game, gave us 18.25 fantasy points. Again, not really my cup of tea for her. I would rather just pay up for Ivana, who I know can stuff the stat sheets in all categories and areas and has a pretty safe floor right now, especially with the starting minutes and the starting burn that she's going to get. Definitely a player I would go ahead and have on my radar. But outside of that, not really too much going for me over there on that side if I'm going to be looking at any of that. Now, in regards to some of the notes that Dion had as well, he wanted you guys to know a prop that you guys can definitely look at and take, and another play that you can consider is going to be DeWanna Bonner. Like I said, I'm not personally on DeWanna Bonner, but he is, and that's because she needs 19 points to move into the top 10 in scoring, and her rebounds for the last three are 4, 10, and 10. So this is more of a prop play right there for DeWanna Bonner in this spot. And that was with Stewie being there. So we do know Bonner, she could definitely get it going on the rebound department, rebounding as well, along with her scoring. She's popped off for 20 in the past 2 games. Definitely, if they want to win this game, it is normally at the back of DeWanna Bonner having a pretty decent scoring night as well. Good matchup that she can go out there and do that in. Going up against Kia Nurse, Ivana defense, Bonner should be able to go out there and have her way. We do know that Seattle, they do love to put up quite a bit of threes, so that'll definitely help her in regards to her getting her rebounds. And if you want any justification for it, look at play against the Sparks. They got some 3-point shooters out there, and they do quite frankly clank quite a bit. Same thing for the Aces in that game. She has 7 3 rebounds. They do put up quite a bit of threes. Same thing for the Dallas Wings. They put up some threes as well. So when 3-point shots are going in, she could definitely go ahead and get some rebounds right there as well. And then another one was Heidemann. Heidemann over 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. She's hit this in her last 7 out of 12 games, but the last 3 games her minutes were cut, maybe due to her injury, like we were saying about that rib. But if they're going to go back up to about that 30, she can definitely get there versus Seattle. Just know that this prop, if you're going to take her prop over here on Prize Picks, is going to come with some risk. If you guys are considering playing any props on Prize Picks or you want our player pool list and stuff like that, make sure you check the link down in the description for the Patreon and also for that Prize Picks so you get that deposit match bonus over here. I am going to do something different and new. I'm going to start a ladder challenge over here on Prize Picks with the WNBA props, especially since we're doing these videos every day. I will put that on the community tab on the YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully you guys made it this far into into the video. That will be out later on today. I'm going to finish crunching some numbers and looking at some stuff, and I'm going to give a 2-pick that I'm going to be using as the ladder challenge and seeing how far we can actually take this. It's going to be the no days off challenge. So make sure you guys subscribe so you guys don't miss any of this content. Drop a like. Let me know that you guys enjoyed this. Again, I do apologize. Me and Dion, we will be able to go back and do more of these videos like this so that way you guys can see this content and we can bring it to you guys. Hope you guys crush it. Talk to you later. See all of you guys in the green.